If you're on the lookout for a new AI art platform or you just haven't found one that suits you yet, I'm going to share with you today a little bit of a hidden gem. And I'm talking about OpenArt AI, which is a Stable Diffusion based platform, but also has Flux, all the most popular models, but everything is very simple, easy to use, and has a really nice flow to its interface. Now, OpenArt AI are the sponsor of this video, but they've given me free reign to do what I want with this, so I'm going to walk through, show you exactly how it works, show you the quality of the images, so that way you can get a bit of an idea of how well this platform works. So I've signed up and logged in to OpenArt. You can see they're already announcing here they've introduced Flux into their models, but if I go down here to explore models or hit models on the left over here, I mean, for one, I can train my own model, but you can see here we've got OpenArt SDXL, we've got Flux, Colors, and there's a bunch of community models here. So there's a whole bunch. If I click on view, so you can see we've got Excel, a lot of Excel models here, Stable Diffusion 3, DallE 3. There's a whole bunch of models here we can use that are pretty popular. And of course, there's still so much more if we keep scrolling. So these are all the options we have. We're going to explore some of these to see what results we get. But also if I go into style palettes on the left over here, if you're having trouble actually prompting for a style, you can see here, you can always use one of these style palettes. They have anime, comic, cartoon, Simpsonized, illustration. There's a lot of features here that make things really easy. So if you're starting out, you can choose one of these to create with. But first of all, I mean, if we're going to create an image, let's get straight into it. And you can see over here, we have Create Image. I click on that. Now we're on the creation page, and you see we have a few different areas here we can go to, but right now we just want to stick with the standard image creation. All the options are right down the left here, and it's very easy to follow. Start from the top, scroll down, so we've got our model, our prompt, image guidance, some of the different options for image guidance. So you can see here it's got all the usual Stable Diffusion options there, the aspect ratio, number of images, but we're going to start with Flux. So I'm going to switch the model to Flux, and we're going to basically type in a prompt and see what kind of images we can create using this model. I've got here a cinematic movie screen cap of a warrior woman, part cyborg, volumetric lighting, in a dark cyberpunk city, because I really want something pretty photorealistic. I may even add 35mm film to make sure I get something as close to photorealistic as possible. Now, I can enhance the prompt, and I'm going to try that in a minute, but just to start off with, we're going to stick with my basic prompt. We're not going to worry about image to image. The advanced settings, we don't really want to increase the steps. It's going to keep that at default. I want my aspect ratio to be 16:9. So I'm going to create two images by clicking Create. In 2 or 3 seconds, it created these two images. So I click on the first one, and we've got a pretty high quality image here. We have a few options, but we also have the next image. We have arrow across, which also looks pretty good. So what if I want to do something a little bit more with this image? I have some options up here. I can inpaint if I want to go and edit it. I can remove objects. I can expand the, make it wider, taller, that kind of thing. Stylize it with a different style, remove the background, and even replace the face. So all those options are now still available for the image I've created. And naturally over on the right, we have a lot of the usual options. So we can download this, share it. We can see our prompt. But I want to actually upscale this. And there's also an ultimate upscaler. So if I choose my upscale mode, I can go 2x and fix the face. So this will run a bit of a face repair feature. I'm going to go with 4x in face to see how well it actually sort of repairs the face and upscales the image. I've got this here, face fidelity. We'll keep it down maybe a little bit. And now I have that selected. I click on it and it will start upscaling. And now my image has been upscaled. I'm going to download it. You can see this image is 3072 pixels by 2048. So that's a pretty high resolution image. And zooming in on full screen, we get a pretty decent result. However, we do have more upscaling options. I'm going to explore those later in the video and compare the results. But coming back to our image creation, what happens comparing these images here? If I click Enhance Prompt, I have Quick Enhance or Customize. I'm going to go Quick Enhance. And you can see it's added a lot more into my prompt in an attempt to improve it. Again, I click Create, and these images look almost a step up compared to before. Again, I go upscale mode. This time I leave the face feature off and just go 4x. Once again, our image is the same size as before, but nice high resolution image. It does a pretty good job of sort of really creating a very nicely framed image that looks photorealistic. So now we've enhanced our prompt and tried out Flux Dev. Why don't we switch and compare to try a few of these other models so I can show you the difference from image to image. We'll start with Flux Schnell, and I'll scroll through and we'll show you the difference of these images so you can see what kind of results we get. So we've already seen this one from Flux Dev, which I think creates a really awesome bokeh effect in the background and a really nice image that has that dark sci-fi tone to it. Whereas Flux Schnell creates more of almost like a CGI look, but still looks pretty cool. The way it's sort of changed those elements, it still has that bokeh effect in the background, but it's a little bit smoother and a little bit less like a movie still. But I really want to try Stable Diffusion 3, which looks pretty good, has a little bit more of an artistic sort of feel to it, but I really love the use, the way it sort of leaned more into a blue, almost Terminator-like aesthetic, a little bit of red lighting in there to accent the other side of the face. It's a really sort of nice use of light in this particular image. But DallE 3, this looks really incredible. Now, a lot of these don't actually fill the entire screen, as you can see, so this one is pretty square, so I've also put together this other image zooming in, and you can see how awesome this DallE 3 image looks upscaled. It's really incredible. But I tried some of the SDXL models like OpenArt SDXL. This image I thought was pretty nifty. It didn't look too bad. It's I still prefer Flux, DallE 3, or even Stable Diffusion 3 at this point, but obviously this is an older model, and the newer models are obviously going to look a bit better. And Juggernaut XL, another cool image, very smooth, nice sort of likeness and that bokeh effect. This one again has gone for more of a bluer sort of tint. But finally I tried something a little bit different and went for Cyber Real, which is a different, older sort of model, and it also got some pretty cool results. I love the texture in the face, has a really strong video game vibe to it, very cyberpunk, very sort of futuristic dystopian city looking, especially with that green tint. So you can see with that example the kind of images we're able to create, which means we can look at photorealistic images like faces, some fantasy elements all mixed up in there, and it does a pretty good job. But one thing I want to mention, which is hard to convey in the video because I edit out the waiting time, is just how quick these images are produced. It actually produces these much quicker than any other platform I've used, so that is a point if you're in a bit of a rush. But they also have like a bulk create function here, so you can go in and bulk create. So you can see here, you can actually upload a CSV or a text file with multiple prompts. So that way, if you need to sort of like submit a bunch all at once, you can do that and create a bunch of images in one hit. But coming back to create, again, we have things like image guidance. So if I come back up, choose Flux. Now you notice we only have image to image here because Flux only has that image function. So if I decide to find an image to upload, keeping that same prompt, I can influence the image and the creativity level from that. So I have this image, which I downloaded from pexels.com. I'm going to use it as an image prompt in Flux to see how much it influences the output of our generation. Now I can click here to upload, otherwise I can drag and drop my image, let it upload here, and I can auto-generate a prompt based on this image, but otherwise I'm just going to stick with our original prompt and hit create. And just to illustrate my point from earlier, I'm going to not edit out the wait time, and you can see just how quickly it generates these images. And there we go. Now straight away, you can see here just how similar it is framed up. If I click on this first image, it's incredibly similar to the image we supplied, and however, it has used a little bit of creativity. So that's the powerful thing about image prompts. At the moment, the creativity level is at 75. If I bring that up to maximum to 1, so 0.75 all the way up to 1. And now you can see it's actually used more creativity and relied a little less on the image we provided. But again, if I bring that back to 0 and hit create, it's essentially the same image with a few minor, very minor differences. So it's very interesting to see that with the level of 0.75 here and a level of 1 here, that we can find somewhere in between. So again, this time I decided to go up to 0.9 and hit create. And now we have an image which is influenced but not identical to the original. So playing with that slider is going to be something that really gets you the best results. But the next thing I want to touch on is I'm not going to go into the advanced image prompting in some of the other SDXL models just yet. Might try to do that in a future video. But I want to touch on the ultimate upscale. This is something that caught my attention before. First of all, I'm going to create a 4x upscale, which I'll download here, but also I'm going to head into Ultimate Upscale. So you can see our image here, and we can actually upload an image. so we can drop an image in, so we can use this for other images as well. But I have here a precise upscale, a creative upscale, and also another creative upscale, which is legacy. And of course, I can upscale to 2K or 4K. So this is a little bit more of an advanced upscaler. And I'm going to try each mode, and we're going to compare them to see which is best. So I'm going to start with precise upscale and hit create. And then I'll also follow up with a creative and a creative legacy upscale, so we can compare that and see which upscale looks the best. Now, I have 4 upscales here, and I'm going to sort of tell the story. The precise upscale is this first image. And you can see here it is the precise upscale, and it looks pretty good. We're going to zoom in on the details soon. Move down to creative upscale, and there's actually an adjustment level. I had the creative at full, so we've got this very different image here, which can be good for if you want to transform an image a bit or develop some details. But I brought it down to subtle, and we've got an image closer to the original. And of course, I also did legacy to create this image here, and I brought the creativity a little bit down on that. Not quite as low, but you can see how that also changes the nature of the image. So it's important to understand that you may need to experiment with the adjustment level in order to see how high quality the image is that you're working with. It's also important to note that I have here precise upscale, and it's 4096 by 2560, the same as the 4x upscale we used before. But when I scroll back to creative upscale, it's 3616 by 2256, not quite as high of an upscale. Legacy was 3984. So you've got a few varying sizes with those upscales. So something to keep in mind is you're going to get a slightly different output resolution-wise when using this function. However, I have brought these into Photoshop so we can start to look at some of the details. So straight away, if I zoom in a little bit around the face and that here, the 4X is a little fuzzy. I switch to precise, it's a bit sharper. So straight away from 4X to precise, we have an improved upscale method. So if you're looking for a higher quality upscale, go to the ultimate upscaler. It is a little bit better than the standard 4X. And if I go to legacy, like I said, things have changed a bit. However, while it softens some of the edges, it's got some pretty impressive detail. I feel like the legacy upscaler is very good at not so much improving the details, but has created a much cleaner image. Moving to creative high, it has got a few sort of AI artifacts in there, but overall it has transformed the image a little too much to really tell. I go to creative subtle, and this image doesn't look too bad. If I were to compare this image to the precise, I would say they're both similar quality, but this has done a better job with the texture. So overall, the ultimate upscaler is the step up for you to upscale within this platform if you really want to take those images to the next level and really maximize their resolution. But coming back, we'll explore a few of the other features available for when you're creating images. The first one I want to touch on is if I click on this DallE 3 image, it looks pretty incredible. However, it's square. And if I come back over and choose DallE and type in a prompt, I have a samurai warrior in front of an ancient temple, bright sunny lighting. If you've been watching me for a while, you might have noticed that I like to prompt for samurais. I can enhance the prompt as I did before, so quick enhance to create something really cool, but I have no option here for the aspect ratio. So let's quickly create this image. And it's a relatively nice image, but I kind of want that 16:9. So again, I can come up here to expand, and it takes me into the editor, and I can come over here to aspect ratio, set it at 16:9, and position it in place. I'm going to just zoom out a little bit by holding control, rolling my mouse wheel, and I can bring the width down a little bit. So let's bring it down to about 1920. I'm going to type that in, 1920 by 1080. I can position my samurai here where he's nice and framed up. Keeping in mind I have all the other editor options here. Again, this is almost a video of its own, but I can position this up, close down some of these bits and pieces, hit create, and now I have 4 different image options that has extended that image, so I can use DallE for the main subject of my image and then extend it using the editor, and I'm guessing it's a Stable Diffusion model. I haven't actually checked, but I can download these straight from here, or I can save to my generation history. And the reason I want to do that is I'm going to come back to create, open this up. So this is my 16:9 image. And again, I can choose to upscale it with ultimate upscale, but for the sake of expedience, I'm just going to go 4x. And now I have the image in 16:9. and I've used DallE to set that up. Now, it is rendered with something other than DallE when you upscale it, but it still keeps the majority of it pretty close. So we've got the basics of AI image creation, and if I go too much deeper, we're going to be here for hours, but I really want to move on and touch on some of these other tools we have available to us. So I'm going to head to apps. There are a whole bunch of apps here. Obviously, I can't cover them all, but you've got things like AI filters, sketch to image, an AI sticker generator. You can actually shortcut a lot of what you're trying to do by coming straight to here and basically using these apps to do what you need to do. For instance, if I go AI filter, I can upload an image here, which I'm going to drag this old man photo in that I got from Pexels. You see him here. It's hard to see, but essentially he's an old man wearing headphones, getting jiggy with it a little bit. And I can come down and pick a style. We have anime, cartoon, Pixar. So I can try something like anime, bring their creativity up a little bit just to see what we get. I want 2 images to pick from. I click create. Now we have our 2 images. I click on the first one. You can see we've got our guy dancing, move across. We've got someone else. I close it down. I'm going to bring their creativity down a bit. This time we'll try Pixar, create. And you see here, we've been able to create some almost Pixar style images from our input image. So that's a pretty handy tool. And again, if I head back, we have even more apps here. Sketch to image, for instance. I can upload a sketch or something I've drawn. I can take in this Batman image I drew a while ago. I scroll down, and in order to get a better result, I can type in a prompt. So I'm just going to literally say Batman Unreal Engine 3D render, because I want it to look like a bit of a dramatic sort of 3D render. Put the creativity to about 0.73, see what I can get, and I can pick a style. Now, obviously, I've already typed in 3D render, but I can click on more styles, choose 3D. I can even pick a color theme. I'm going to leave that off for now. I can add a reference image if I want it to match something. We're not going to worry about that. I'm going to hit create and check out these results. I've got 1 and 2. Based pretty closely off the image I drew. So that's a pretty awesome tool for an artist to use, along with some of these other apps. But once again, we'll head back. So you can see here how some of these tools are incredibly handy. So if you're a graphic designer or a digital artist, some of these tools could save you a ton of time in the projects you're doing for your customers or clients. We have image to 3D, a realistic image transformer, so it makes it more photorealistic, AI QR code. It's pretty endless, the possibilities you have here. So the last one I'm going to check out is Stylize. I'm going to click on that. We can drag and drop or click to insert an image. So I'll drag in this Muay Thai fighter image that I drew a few years ago when I first got my drawing tablet. And down the right here, we have some options. I'm going to close this down. We can use a reference image. I'm going to actually choose this one because that looks pretty funky. Style strength I'll leave there, and I'm going to leave everything blank. But otherwise, I can go here and explore even more. So I can even try this one, try that one. But I think it's really cool to be able to change up this style pretty dramatically. But I'll head back. We'll stick with this one here. Hit create. Once again, we get 4 images that we can choose from. All of them look pretty funky and match the style that we saw. I'm going to save all these to my generation feed. And that way you can always come back to your Create tab and see everything that you've created or would like to keep. Now finally, I want to download these images. And maybe I want to download all of them. I click this download button up here and I can tick the ones I want individually. But one tip is to hold down shift. Tick on one, hold down shift, and it will tick everything in between. And I can click here to download and save these images here as a zip file. So everything we've just covered in this video is actually, it's really only scratching the surface. This is such a diverse, in-depth tool with so many apps, so many styles, and the different models: Flux, Stable Diffusion 3, XL, DallE 3. You have so many options here to create some really stunning images, and I highly recommend going in and checking it out. You can try this out for free. It's a lot of fun to play with. And although I've covered this platform in the past, I thought I'd reintroduce it as it has improved a lot since the last video, and it seems to be constantly improving. So like I said, a bit of a hidden gem to keep an eye on in the future. So if you want to check out OpenArt AI, there's a link in the description below. I also have a discount code down there, so if you do decide to sign up, you can get it a little bit cheaper. And I want to thank OpenArt AI for sponsoring this video. This is a really cool platform, and I highly recommend you check it out. Have some fun. Otherwise, if there's anything else you want me to cover, leave a comment below and we can go from there. All right, thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you found it interesting and useful. And once again, I hope to see you again next time. Have a great day.